So, good morning, everyone. I'm Valentina Sturli, and this is European Society of Comparative Literature, where all the friends of literature and arts are welcome. So today is with us Professor Emilia Di Rocco, former president of the European Society of Comparative Literature and full professor of comparative literature at the University of Roma, La Sapienza. Hi, Emilia.
Hi. Hi, Valentina.
So, nice to meet you. So, Emilia, thank you very much for being here with us today. It's very important to us to make the European Society of Comparative Literature known to the public. So we decided to interview you. You were the president of European Society from 2021 to 2024. Can you briefly introduce us to your scientific work? Thank you.
Thank you, Valentina. Yes, certainly. So as you said, I teach comparative literature at Sapienza, the Department of European, American and Intercultural Studies. My main field of interest in comparative literature is antiquity, late antiquity and the Middle Ages. Over the years, in fact, I have worked quite a lot on the rewritings of ancient myth in medieval, modern, and contemporary literature. For example, my book on Tiresias is a clear witness to this kind of research. But I've also worked on thematic volumes, issues, such as, for instance, the book on Kissing the Earth, the development of a motif, of a topos in Western literature, because this is the other focus of my research, which is mostly centered on Western literature, namely European literature. I'm very interested in the relations and the exchange between English, German, and Italian literature. Lately, the focus of my research has shifted more on the intersections between literature and theology, or literature and religion, and literature and the Bible. This has resulted in the publication of a couple of edited volumes with a colleague from the University of Siena, Professor Spandri. And for example, I started to carry out research on Rainer Maria Rilke and the intersection of his works and his ideas and thoughts with theology and the Middle Ages. I'm also interested in the history of ideas. I published quite a few articles on the idea of wonder as a cognitive device, starting with an idea that starts with Aristotle's metaphysics and reaches up to nowadays modern contemporary literature. And also this intersection between the literature and the Bible at the moment is the very focus of my research, since I have been working for quite a few years now on a book on the adventure, the development of the parable of the prodigal son in Western literature. And then I started also in this field quite an ambitious work, and that is the translation into Italian and possibly looking at an edition, although not a complete edition, but selected passages from Robert Holcott's commentary on the Book of Wisdom. This work, as many people in the medieval literature field, especially English literature, know is fundamental for an understanding of, for example, Geoffrey Chaucer and English medieval literature in general. But beside this, not so many people know that this commentary has been a real bestseller in Europe until the 18th century, so much so that every major library has got at least a copy of it or a manuscript. To give an idea to people, we have more than 100 surviving manuscripts. What is the reason for such an extraordinary success? Well, first of all, and I think this is the most important aspect of the commentary on wisdom by Robert Orcott, is the idea to use classical literature, namely Latin and Greek literature mediated through Latin literature, to comment on the Bible and on the Book of Wisdom, that, as many people know, is quite an interesting book, not only because it has got Platonic influences, but because it's quite controversial within the Christian church. So this is the main field of my, these are the main focuses of my research. I am also the PI of a national project funded by the Ministry of the University, which falls within the context of literature and the Bible, and the title is The Politics of Worship Pre- and Post-Reformation. There are 4 units in this project, one in Padua, one based in Como, and another one in Perugia, apart from the one in Rome, of course. And we are looking at the way texts from the Bible, translations, rewritings, have been repurposed in the period ranging between the late Middle Ages and the early modern era for political purposes. The Rome unit is working at the way devotional literature for women and by women repurposed passages from the Bible for the education and devotion of women. So this is what I've been doing over the years. And I've also been engaged quite a lot with ESCL. So I think
you were very busy.
Yeah, not an easy task. Yeah. Okay. So
thank you so much. It sounds very interesting. Thank you so much for sharing with us your research interests. So now I want to ask you, can you tell us how the European Society of Comparative Literature works? What are its institutional bodies and what is its focus?
So I would say that the ESCL, European Society of Comparative Literature, which was established as such in 2017, because at first, when it was first established in 2003 by the late Brigitte Lejuet, it was more of a network of comparative literature. In 2017, if I remember correctly, we decided to, give it a more institutional frame, and for that purpose, we decided to become an association, a society, actually, and this has entailed a lot of work. As with the network, the society has increasingly become a European space for interdisciplinary research and dialogue about culture, literature, arts, and also let's say we sought and we still seek to facilitate exchange of ideas, views among scholars, and we are trying to put at the center early career and junior scholars as well, as we are also trying, I would say, to promote international collaborative research and teaching. As a society, we decided we didn't want to be a cumbersome society. So our institutional structure, let's say, it's quite streamlined. The governing body, apart from the president, is the executive committee, where we try to have a representation, as far as this is possible, of course. We try to have representatives from most geographical areas or countries of Europe. There are about 15 or 16 members, both senior and junior scholars and PhD and postdocs, because we strongly believe that if we want to have a future and a long-term, we want to have long-term plans for our society, we need to involve people from the very early stage of their career. So this is why in our EC, doctoral and postdoctoral students have a place. They sit there and they have the same rights as early career and senior scholars and the president. So this is also something that I want to emphasize. We are a very democratic society. This, I know, can be a weakness, but it is also a strength, because by giving everybody the same rights and the same power and also responsibilities, means that we are building a future for our society, and we are creating a sort of, attachment or strong relationship since the very early stages of the academic career. Then, of course, within the EC, we have subcommittees. So there is a group who deals with the organization of the Congress and the conferences we sponsor. I will come to this in a minute. Then we have a group that oversees the publications, another group that looks at the research, and so on and so forth. So this is what we are doing. And we are also trying to support and internationalize the work of regional associations in comparative literature. So we are trying, and this is one of the main challenges, in fact, we are trying to establish, to enhance or establish the relationship with the local comparative literature associations, and try to invite people from the less represented countries in our society.
Okay, thank you so much. I think it's very important, so very important task. And so, what do you think have been the main challenges facing the society in recent years? And what do you think could be the development potential of the society that brings together scholars of comparative literature from all over the Europe, as you think?
Yeah, so, well, maybe I already touched on at least the first part on this question. One of the main challenge, and we are still working at it, in fact, because we need to update things and so on, has been the shift from a network to a society. Because basically we had to reorganize everything, starting from the website. for example. So we had to reorganize the society, think and discuss what kind of society we wanted, what would be our aim, where would we fit in the international scenario, what were what was the politics of society, what kind of comparative literature we wanted to promote, for example, because as you know, there are different views on what comparative literature is. So this was one of the main challenges, transforming the network into the society. And for example, we are as of 2017, we started working quite on the statutes, the bylaws, internal regulations, and so on and so forth. And also, this is when we started most of the activities that are in place today. For example, publications, book awards committee, travel grants for early career junior students or junior scholars or doc and postdoc students and so on. The other great challenge, and unfortunately here I think we have been a bit weak, but we are trying our best and we are insisting on this, is to involve local, regional, comparative literature associations as such in our society. Because at the moment, of course, as people can imagine, there are many scholars who belong to their regional or national associations who are members of ESCL. But the problem is that those associations, those societies, are not all of them members of ESCL. And I think this is the big challenge, the great challenge for the future. Maybe we haven't worked a lot, or how can I say, we haven't worked on this with the same commitment as for example, for the publications. But on the other side, I must also say that most of the times, regional associations have been dismissive vis-a-vis the ESCL. I know that in the past, presidents have written letters, ESCL presidents have written letters to the presidents of the regional associations. I myself tried to speak to them, but it is quite a difficult path to establish a relationship with them, most of the times because national or regional associations are in a mess.
Okay.
They don't even know what they are doing. I won't mention which ones, but this is one of the main problems, that you don't know to whom you have to speak. And this is quite a main hindrance to establishing a relationship with them. And I think this is one of the greatest challenges we will have to face in the future. Try our best to involve them.
Okay.
Now, possible developments of the European Society of Comparative Literature. This was the second part of the question, wasn't it? So, as of this year, under my supervision, we are trying to establish research groups, very much so along the lines of the research groups of the International Comparative Literature Association. Of course, this is on a smaller scale, but we are starting. So far, we have had 2, possibly 3 proposals. One is to be confirmed. And the aim is to, again, do a bit of networking. start with a small group and then possibly enlarge it by establishing relationships. To this end, every time we publish our newsletter, so every quarter of the year, we publish a call for people either to submit research groups for evaluation or join the existing research groups. These research groups are under my supervision, but each of them is coordinated by one scholar, either again an early career or a senior. They are completely independent, meaning I don't interfere with anything except coordination among them. What do we expect from the research groups? Well, first of all, we are discussing at the moment, but this is all a possibility, to organize every year, every other year, in fact, an online seminar where the research groups can present their work, what they have been doing, what are the possible developments of the subject, and so on. When there is the biennial congress, research groups are expected will have a dedicated slot in the congress where they will present their work, the result of what they have been doing over the past 2 years, and whether they are looking at publications and so on. Of course, we as ESCL will sponsor their publications. So we offered, for example, to publish part of their research on our journal, Complete, or on one of our book series that we have. So this is what the main, I think, potential for development in the future. As far as research, the scientific side is concerned, of course, the other ally for development in the future is trying to work, even through the research groups, trying to work and do something with regional or national associations. And this takes me to another field of activity of ESCL, that is the sponsored conferences. So far, we have sponsored, I think, quite a few conferences, one in Turin in 2021, if I remember correctly, on the myths of origins that eventually resulted in a book. Edited by myself and Chiara Lombardi on myths of origins. Then we sponsored a very interesting and big conference in Alcalá de Henares in Spain. The conference was organized by one of our former EC members, Dr. Patricia Garcia. And the conference was on the underground imaginary. It was an utter success. So many people and quite a few publications are underway. So what we do, if this is again a way to try to involve scholars from the rest of Europe, national associations, and so on, whenever they request our sponsorship, of course, there is a regulation on this, and the conference has to comply with our regulations. If everything is fine, we normally give the sponsorship. So sponsor the conference. If possible, we try to organize a panel under the aegis of ESCL, and this we also do with ICLA. So I think these are the main developments for the future.
Okay, thank you so much, Emilia. And this society has also an Excellence Award for collaborative research. So can you tell something about it and on why the ASCL consider it essential to reward collaborative research?
Yes, Yeah, this is something I strongly supported as a president. In fact, as a vice president and then president, meaning that when we started discussing about the possibility of a book award, my main question was, do we really need another book award all over Europe? And the answer was not necessarily, of course, right? Because there are so many, you can apply everywhere, almost every day for a prize. There is an area that sometimes is in the shadow, and that is collaborative research. Because collaborative research is often undervalued, in fact. But we all know that editors put a lot of work in it. It's a major effort in the life of an editor or a scholar. First of all, try to make all the authors send the paper in time by the requested deadline, but not only, also editing all the essays. So we thought that maybe this could be a field where a prize would be needed. So in 2020, I think we established the book award, and we awarded the first prize in 2021. The suitable candidate for the book, let's put it this way, is a book on collaborative research. It has to make an original contribution to the field of comparative literature. Even better if it enhances or puts the emphasis on those literatures that are underrepresented. So a collaborative research book on English literature is still fine, of course. We won't say, no, we don't want this because it's English or German or Italian. But one of the aims of the prize is also to make visible the literatures that are European literature from areas that are underrepresented in the intellectual environment. So this is the main gist, the main point of the book award. We normally issue a call, I think, 1.5 years ahead of the next Congress. And we announce the winner, the shortlisted books, and then the winner at the biennial Congress. So next one will be in Leeds in 2026. It's the amount of the prize is very little, I would say. It's symbolic. It's about 500 euros. And the winner of the book award sits in the book award committee to evaluate the next round of the prize. So this is what we normally do. The members of the selecting committee are people from the EC, again, involving docs, junior, postdocs, and senior scholars, about 5 people, if I remember correctly. And I think this is a very good opportunity because there is a lot of research going on, as we all know, but and many books, many very good books on collaborative research are published every year, but they don't get the same, not all of them get the same visibility as monographs. So this is one of the aims of our book prize.
Okay, thank you so much for this explication. And so can you tell us something about the others publication, maybe the review complete the publication of the society books and reviews, journal.
Yeah, so we have this journal complete, which we publish with Classique Garnier in French. It includes essays mostly with a European focus, and we welcome issues, thematic issues, monographic issues by guest editors. Sometimes we publish part of the papers from the biennial conference in one of the issues of our journal. We also have thematic review section. The journal has got thematic review sections and book reviews as well. The focus is mostly comparative. So this is what the article has to be in the field of comparative literature. So it has to deal with reception studies, myth criticism, imagology, geocriticism, travel writing, diaspora studies, migration studies, and so on and so forth. We normally publish, I think, 3 issues a year. And again, we have guest editors, that's true, but we also have various issues where we welcome articles from members of our society or other scholars from all over the world. The journal is biannual, so we publish 2 issues a year. Sorry, I made a mistake. I just checked. So this is what we do with the journal, and we think this journal is quite important for the society. We have invested a lot in it, not in terms of money, because we are basically poor, but in terms of work. Late Brigitte Lejouet has made it all by mostly by herself. She has been the editor till 2023, and she has done a wonderful job. I must acknowledge this. Then, apart from the society, we also have a book series at the moment. We should have 2, but the second is still under discussion. And this series, the complete interart book series, which is part of the New Directions in the Humanities collection. This one has the focus on interdisciplinarity and mostly art, of course. We normally, in this series, we publish works dealing with the analysis and interpretation of literature in various media forms. We could call it a sort of transmedial, let's say. So various media forms, literary narrative, visual media, film, dance, performance studies, electronic literature, and so on. The editors of the series are Bernard Franco from Sorbonne and Asun Lopez Varela from the Complutense University in Madrid. Again, if you have a look at the website, you will see that all our initiatives tend to diversify editors or people in charge of the different bits and pieces of the society in order to have the widest representation from all our members. And here again, we welcome manuscripts from everyone, basically. Of course, manuscripts undergo double-blind peer review, and this is also true of the journal, no need to say nowadays. And so far, we have been quite successful also with the book series. at the moment, we have started discussing the possibility of opening another series with Brill, but this is at very early stage and I don't have much to say in a later interview.
A project for the future. So
for the future, yes.
So thank you so much, Emilia, for being with us. It was very interesting, and so have a nice day and happy holidays. And thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to you, Valentina.
Bye. Bye.
Bye. Bye.